Hi everyone, let's start today's call. The first agenda item is doing a retrospective review for the current sprint. It's a very short sprint, just for like 4 days in total. So I just before we start, I was just chatting with VJ about 309. So let me just do my screen sharing so that you guys can see that ticket. Okay, can you guys see the screen? So this ticket, yeah, good. This ticket is to add, originally it's like to add create a link on the registration payload, so that it knows that create a link with the registration payload, so that when the data manager review the error queue, he or she would know that it's to resolve the registration payload before resolving the corresponding non-registration payload. Actually, VJ already did it, and then his screenshot actually showed exactly what happened. When I was doing testing yesterday, and so that's what it is. So like when you guys look at the non-registration payload, the JSON encounter, in case that has a corresponding registration payload in the error queue, it would add another row on the top on the page, so that you can click on that. It will go to the corresponding registration error payload, so that you can resolve this one first before you resolve the other one. That is the expected behavior. Yesterday when I was doing the testing, I found there's like an odd scenario that somehow the non-registration payload, the JSON encounter, got processed first, and before the JSON registration got processed, so it would not be able to capture that link because of the the reverse sequence of the processing. So I was just thinking that, so I was just like showing like a example on this one. Hold on a second. So like this is the JSON encounter. Actually, it has a corresponding JSON registration. However, it's not showing the link here because this one got processed after the registration, before the registration, and that's why it's not showing here. So I was just chatting with VJ that if it's possible to add another condition that in case for that reverse sequence, we need to add a link on the registration payload that to link back to the corresponding JSON encounter payload. Does it make sense? Because of the reverse order.
Ada, you are saying that when a non-registration form is processed and it goes into error state, we need to provide a link to which one?
Yeah. So like right now we only add a we will add the JSON registration link on the on the JSON encounter payload page, the page. But I want, since if it's reverse, I want it to have like a JSON encounter link on the registration on the JSON registration page, so that in case the reverse order of the processing, the user would still know that, hey, when I see that link appear, I know that I need to go back and search for the registration first to resolve it. If not, the user would not be able to tell actually it has a corresponding registration payload need to be resolved. So maybe it's a good question for Win, since Win is here. So Win, so what happened is that when the creates a new client record on the device side and also fill out a JSON encounter, and then both save as complete form data and sync to the server. And the assumption was the sequence of the processing should process the registration first before the corresponding JSON encounter. However, the order was not like that in the processor. Somehow it processed the JSON encounter first, and then before the JSON registration. So because of that, for this ticket, we were not able to capture that corresponding link on the registration error. So is there something we can do on the processor to make sure that the correct sequence win? But that's not but that's not what happened on this one. So what happened is that I saw on the pending queue, on the queue, because it had tons of payload waiting because the scheduler was stopped. So I restarted the scheduler. I think probably way too many messages waiting in the queue, and it processed the JSON encounter before the corresponding JSON registration. Go ahead, Vijay.
Yeah, probably. I was just saying that we can check the test server again, even if we can see a non-registration error. If there is a corresponding registration error, it would pull up the data.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I can let you to look at further, because that's the behavior that I observed, and because just like Wednesday, I would expect it to process the registration before the corresponding JSON encounter, but that's not what happened, because I think because there's like a tons of payload waiting in the queue, and then waiting for the scheduler to process, and then once the scheduler starts, and probably a lot of payload in the queue, and then it starts at every 30 seconds or whatever, and it clear up some, and then there's like remaining like 4 left, and then it just happened the remaining 4, one of them is the registration, the corresponding registration. So that is the behavior that I observed for this ticket that I think we need to check a little bit further, so that it would not give the wrong impression to the data manager or reviewer that there's no corresponding registration, and then if they process the JSON encounter first, and then it will cause more problem to go back and search for the same one and then resolve one more time. So I will look for the links for you after the call, so that you can have more information, Vijay.
Okay.
Thanks. So let's talk about LAC 23. Simon and Derek.
Yeah, so I made the changes that were requested, Ada, and part of it included having to create new concepts on the LAC server after consulting with the new data manager and Derek. So last evening I gave out the form for testing. I think Derek has already uploaded the forms to the LAC server, and I think he can update us where he is as regards testing. But what I'm expecting is that testing will continue. In case there is any hidden thing which I don't expect, then I would fix before they can now put it into production.
Yeah. I've uploaded the forms on production server, on the VM server, and I've updated the 3 forms. We have a form tagged root, one tagged LAC test, which was created by you, Eda, and another one tagged Derek test. All the 3 forms, on each one of them, they'll be able to work. This particular morning, we were to have a testing all together with the RS. Unfortunately, they left early in the morning to go to the field for process evaluation, so we didn't have that test. So what I've done is I've made tests all alone. I have 2 forms that I've submitted on the server. of which I've advised the statisticians to go through those particular forms to find out whether the specified data sets of data that has been submitted has been really captured or is really submitted on the server or not, of which they told me that they'll be able to give that feedback on Monday. What I'm also doing right now is I'm testing on the specific issues that we had per question, whether those particular answers that were supposed to be given are real or are logical enough. And at the same time, I'll also go back to the server and see whether the specified data sets have been submitted to the server. So I think testing continues, but on Monday we'll be back to testing again with the RLAs. The patient I'm using for testing, I'm using a patient Derek test, and I've submitted a number of forms on it. I think if anyone would like to test, let that particular individual use Derek test or rather create another test patient for him or herself to do the tests. Thanks, Ella.
Thanks, Derek. So we will wait for you to work with the RAs. So you can give us a wrap up on Monday. Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks.
Just again to give a little bit of information update, I went out to the field on Tuesday and Wednesday. I went to Kosurai and Mogoget, and I met the CHWs out there. Pretty doing well out there, but we did a little of pressure and we saw at least 3 patients of which data was submitted on production. That's on BA tools on MRS production server. So far so good, I would say. We didn't manage to go to CHEP+K or CHEP-KML for new rollouts because the RAs want to finish process evaluation before they embark back on rollouts altogether. Thanks.
Thanks. So I think Vijay, have you take a look at 341 for the VF form on the some of the changes yet?
Alan, I've just started looking.
Okay. Yeah, let us know if you have any questions because sometimes it could be might need a little bit clarifications, and feel free to ping us on, especially when you work on those suggestions of making changes for the form templates. Yeah, let us know if you need clarification later on. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think those are the tickets that for the sprints that I would like to discuss. And now let's talk about the retrospective review, what we have done right and what we need, we could have improved on. Anyone? Maybe I can share mine. So I think I appreciate the quick turnaround from Vijay on the ticket and also very clear documentations and also include very clear assumptions what when he applied the code. So it's really helpful for me to understand, also to make sure that what he applied actually is what the ticket reflects to, and also help a lot with doing the testing. So I really appreciate for making sure that so he puts like the assumption that he used for his code, and also to make things much clearer for me. So I really appreciate that one, and thank you, BJ. I also appreciate Wayne did quite a lot of like code review this week quickly and help with getting those modules ready for the mUzima upgrade on AMRS production. So that we now can say we can encourage each team, implementation team, to use the latest APK for the implementation and advantage of the new features and also bug fixes. Those are the two things I think that we did well. Anyone? Okie dokie. So let's move to the next agenda item is the ticket grooming for the next sprint. So let's go here. Okay. So let's just make sure that the points and then the specifications and also the story points assigned is appropriate for the tickets. The first one is the date of birth is not being displayed on non-registration form data. What happened is that as you guys know, the top parts on each of the non-registration form data templates, it has like the patient names, date of birth, and gender, things like that. However, those fields are displayed as read-only. It should not be editable. However, for the date of birth field, it's not displaying the value. That's what this ticket is about. Does anyone need more clarification what this ticket is about before we assign points? Okay, so now asking the developers, Shrita, Simon, Vijay, and Win, how many story points this ticket should be? 1, 2, 3. Okay, go. Two for everyone?
Yeah.
So, great. So my assumption is correct. And then the next one is the month and year options from date picker display in light color on the linkage form and also the retention form. So I just want to show like a screenshot here. So what happened is that somehow on the log form, the year and the month on the date pickers somehow it's kind of like gray out or something like that. It was not like that before the changes we had on a different ticket, and somehow it got changed on this one. So it needs to display the same way as other date picker. Anyone need more clarifications or comment for this ticket specification before we assign points? No? Okay, let's start assigning points developers. Cool, 2 as well. So my guess is also right on this one. Next. To fix the issues on the breast cancer screening form, and there's like some minor changes on the breast cancer form, maybe the validations, and then remove some validations, and or add some validation, things like that. The specifications are listed on this description here. How many story points for this one? Let's start. Okay. 3. Okay. So our next sprint pretty much like clean up all the form templates revision and also like kind of EMR. So the next one is the also the testing feedback on changes on the pap-smear form, on another oncology form. Take a look at the description, and then we can assign points. Okay, go. I think Simon said 3, and how about read BJ and Win? Go is a 3. Thanks. Another oncology form is called histopathology form. Also minor changes from the user feedback. So take a look on this one, and then developers can assign points. Rita, do you think also 3 maybe? Okay, so it's a 3. So 333, Simon, maybe it's better for you to talk about this one though. Simon, to set up the Canyon EMR mUzima on Canyon EMR instance for demo.
Yeah. So this one is it's a bunch of 3 tickets, and the work involves creating a registration form, and the HIV blue card, which was split into 3 forms, and also setting up for the demo. So for the purpose of this ticket, setting up mUzima and Kenya EMR instances for demonstration, here we are looking at a point when the forms are already developed. So we are now installing the modules, and also setting up the cohorts, the providers, and loading them on our device for the initial testing to make sure everything is working fine. So I assigned it 8 points, thinking setting up the server and then spending quite some time doing the testing to make sure everything is okay.
With the configuration and tweaking, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. So since you're the one who already start working on this, so you know the points are appropriate. Okay, let's look at the other one. It's also part of the Can EMR setup. So this one is to program one of the blue card, but using mUzima.
Yeah, so the blue card has been split into a number of forms, but there are only 3 that we identified to work on: the enrollment, visit summary form, and the family history form.
Okay.
Yes. So again, looking at it, we are creating the forms from scratch. I thought, also basing on previous discussions we've had, I thought 30 points would be appropriate for this.
Thanks, Simon. And then the last one, 331. That is the patient registration form for EMR.
Yes, like I said before, that one, the Kenya EMR registration form has additional fields, like with the address and some other fields. So this one, 331 involved updating the registration form and also updating the registration handler so that it can be able to process those additional fields on the form. So the end result here, we are looking at having a specific version of the mUzima registration module and also for the registration form.
Okay, thanks. So those are those 3 tickets are related to the Candy MRR. So maybe I was hoping that
Yeah.
as a comment on the
Yeah. So far, 331 and 332. That is doing the registration form and the blue card has been done. And then setting up the Kenya EMR instances, we've already installed the Kenya EMR instance, uploaded all the modules, and also the forms. So right now, on the last step, which is basically doing the testing, like I mentioned, in preparation for the final demonstration we shall do.
Okay.
Yeah. Then something else which I think I would bring up maybe in another meeting, but I just mention, we were thinking about the registration module. In future, we should kind of think of a more generic module so that a more generic implementation of the registration handler, so that in case there are forms that have maybe a different set of fields, this registration handler should be able to process as it is, not necessarily having to do specific changes for particular forms. So it's something that I'll be looking into, and I think I'll bring up another day during this call.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, maybe you can propose the agenda item for a future call so that we can have more background information so that team can look at it and think about before the discussion.
Yeah, sure.
Sounds good. Thanks. So those are the tickets for the next sprint. Anyone have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I just want to ask about mUzima 295. It is the ticket related to Lab 23, and I created some time back.
Yes.
Yeah. So this one was to address a limitation in the current APK in which it's not able to kind of serialize forms that have nested repeating sections. And it does not do it correctly, so there was need for an update. Specifically, it was needed for the costing form because it has it has a concept that are nested, concept groups that are nested, and therefore I had to do changes. So I've already updated the APK, found a solution for mUzima 295, but I'm leaving it at the point of testing with the costing form until we are sure it's working well with the costing form, and also it does.
If that's the case, I think we need to include it to the current sprint so that we don't forget on taking action. Do you agree? Since it's more like it's only need to the remaining task is about testing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's assign points for this one, and then I'll include this to current sprint so that we don't forget. So how many points, Simon?
5.
Think about how much. 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for doing that. So any other comments or feedback before we move to the next agenda item?
Also, we had a suggestion
Yes.
to add back to draft button on the registration form. I don't know if it can be implemented or.
We can discuss that ticket. Hold on a second. I think I know which one you're talking about. So actually, I think I was asking. I remember I triaged that ticket. Hold on a second. Right here. $340. So, Robert, do you mind just to get a summary on this ticket since you filed this ticket?
We had a suggestion when you're working on a registration form. For now, when you save as complete form, you're not able to take it back to draft. So we suggested that if it is possible, when a user saves the form as complete, he can be able to take it back to draft so that he can make edits.
So, when I think probably you remember, probably only you and I, or even Martin, probably, and maybe Simon remember that assumption. I think that we make the assumption that once the registration form is saved as complete form data, we don't want it to change it back to draft because there's corresponding JSON, there's possible corresponding JSON encounter might be filled, and if so that we make the decision that we don't want it to go back to the draft, because if you go back to draft, you can also delete it or something like that. Is that the correct assumption, Wayne, Simon, Martin?
Yes, and I would also say that in case maybe anyone would like to edit the registration part of the patient, I think doing that on the server side would be better. And it's possible.
Yeah, I think so. Wayne actually confirmed what I was making, what I recall, because Wayne said it's already passed, so that we cannot undo it.
Okay.
So that's the reason of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So since we thanks for bringing this one up, Robai. Since we confirm that's the correct behavior, I think we just need to close this ticket since we don't need to work on it.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a demo.
So, Rubai, thanks for bringing this up. Don't get discouraged just because of we not working, we don't work on this, but because this is good, for everyone to understand why it's not needed, or So if there's any doubts, feel free to create new tickets, and then we can always just discuss and get clarified.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks for doing that.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Okay, there was a suggestion also on including the system ID for the location and the provider during initial setup for mUzima. Because in Kenya we have names which are duplicates, like village. When you move from one village, you take the name to the other village. So I think it will be good if we have the provider ID so that the person who is downloading the provider can select the correct provider or location.
Yeah, those are the tickets 336 and 337. So I triaged that and put that as mUzima someday because those are not blockers, and those are nice enhancement improvement, and we have priority to work on other tickets first. That's why I don't include these two tickets for current sprint. So that's the reason.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ruth. Any other concern or comment? So if not, the next agenda item is about versioning. So Win, I was hoping that you can walk us through the definition of the versioning and how the versioning would be increased or it will increased for a new version for the next version, especially that we now have our app on Google Play, even though it's on other version right now. But I think it's good to talk about it so it will be clear for everyone, and also it will be helpful for us to start tagging tickets with version numbers. Also the version controls on the GitHub. So can you help us on this one?
I think for every upload to Google Play, required to for us to increase the version number. So I would say we increase the third digit in the version number when we do testing, and then once we want to release it, then we increase the minor version, the second digit. So let me type.
Okay. So I think I understand what you talk about. So when it's upload for testing purpose, increase the third digit, and then when it's ready for release, we increase the second digit. So the question now is that how we incorporate with GitHub as well as Jira, so that when we do release, we can easily just pull out which tickets corresponding to which version. Yeah, I understand that one. Win. So
I think for the ticket, we should not put the testing version as the version number. So I would say we use the release version as the target.
So yeah, so let me just rephrase what I'm talking about. So the it mean that, because I think I need to think how to tag the ticket because to correspond with the next release version. So what I'm trying to say is that I want to have an easy way to pull all the ticket information that corresponding to the like a minor release. So what is the best way to make sure that things with the GitHub code changes have like a tag on that, and also on Jira on that? Do you have like a more like programmatic way suggestions, or is there like a certain standard practice that we need to do?
I think for Jira, I would say when you close a ticket, just assign the target release, the upcoming release for all of it. So before you close the ticket, always assign the next release number. So if what we have right now in Google Play, for example, is 1.1.0, then in the ticket, if there's anything new, then it should be assigned to 1.2.0.
I see. Yeah, I think this is a good tip on Jira. How about on GitHub?
GitHub, before we release the version, or before we upload to Google Play, we should create a tag in GitHub saying this is the version number that we upload to Google Play. So before we upload to Google Play, always tag the source code with the correct number.
Okay, so
I think we need to write like an SOP of release or something like that.
Yeah. So I think the version control is clear for me. I wonder if anyone have like is it clear for everyone? The release saying that testing is that we just make the changes on the third digit increase. When it's minor release, it's going to be the second digit release. And then for Jira, I think it will be on my shoulder that when we resolve or close the ticket, we would tag the next target release. And then on GitHub, I think Win, it will be on your part to tag the version number before uploading to Google Play. So is that a correct assumption, Win?
Correct.
Yeah. So I wonder if like VJ and Shrita and Simon, if this proposal makes sense to you guys, or you guys have other suggestions.
Makes sense to me, Ed.
Yeah, me too, Adam.
Okay, cool. Okay. How about CDSS team? The proposed SOP, does it make sense for you guys, or you guys have questions or comments?
No questions.
Cool. Okay. So thank you, Wayne, and thank you, everyone. So then now, the next agenda item is the mUzima on Google Play. So we have the alpha version on that already. So we already did the testing. I think now we should be ready for release, the production release. So Wayne, do you think is there anything we need to do before the production release on Google Play?
I would say we should wait for the graphic first because it doesn't look professional enough.
The graphic is going to take a while. Okay. So what Wayne was referring is that because we don't have like a nice logo in the correct pixels proportion and also the resolution, so it kind of stretch. It looks very bad. That's why he was hoping that we should hold on to it. Okay, we can take offline to do the debate, Wayne. Okay, and then the next one is the mUzima wiki and Jira So we plan to do the imports of the empath wiki and Jira today 1 p.m. Eastern time. So please not to. I'm going to send out an email to inform everyone that you should stop updating anything on empath wiki and Jira. And once we are done with the imports and the migration to mUzima wiki and Jira, I will send out another email to update everyone that moving forward, we should do our tracking and also updating on mUzima wiki and Jira. Hopefully, we'll be able to finish the imports and migration this afternoon, our time here. Anyone have question and concern on this one? Okay, so that's the plan. So now we have a few minutes left. Any other things anyone want to discuss?
Okay, now we are joined by Dr. Kirui, who will be working with mUzima on CDM. Maybe greet us, Sylvia.
Welcome.
Thank you. I think just learning how about mUzima, my interest. Met with Dr. Were Martin. He's the one who introduced me to Ruth. Interested in evaluation of the mUzima as part of the informatics, MSc in health informatics, but also as working with CDM before 3 years ago. So I hope to continue working with them and maybe get some feedback as we move forward, maybe in the coming months.
Welcome to mUzima, and we really excited you're interested in the app and also working with our team. Just feel free to ask any questions on the listserv, and then I can work with Ruth offline to create accounts for you to have order access and things like that. And then we're looking forward for more feedback from you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Okie dokie. Anything else? Anyone? Cool. If not, go ahead.
Can I give an update of the status of modules on production, Empath?
Oh, yes. I forgot about that. Yes. The module has been upgraded, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for bringing it up. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we upgraded the modules, and also we copied the forms tables to the form server, so that the form server and the production servers have the same version of modules, version of forms. So the implication of upgrading the modules is that we need to use the latest APK, and also we need to use the latest versions of the forms.
That's correct.
Yeah, so I think the implementation teams need to be well prepared for that.
So I think we need to first. So have we updated all the latest form templates yet to Amers? No. Okay. So that's the remaining parts. So do we still want to update the form templates to the form server first before we migrate to do the Go update to production?
I think it's not clear when gold will be moved from forms to production. So I think what we should do is to update both.
Okay.
Both the forms and the production.
Questionnaire. This is Derek speaking. Question. I understand we still have some issues with Huawei, and largely what is happening in the field out there, you find that the only stable APK that we're using for Huawei is the APK that was published on 26th of February. That is the stable APK that we've been using for both BA, CDM dispensary, for both, for BA tools and the dispensary forms. Now, I don't know if we would say that we would update also the forms again. I don't know what would we do, because so far we don't have a stable APK that runs on Huawei.
Hey, yeah, thanks, Derek. Hey, Wayne, do you want to talk about the session thing? for the login that Sam was asking the other day? Yeah.
I haven't got a chance to look at that.
Okay, so I think that is kind of related to that. So Derek, Sam Buga has been helping us to test on the Huawei issues. So he was able to use the same Huawei devices and don't have those issues. So let me just ping him again and then link you guys together, and then so that it will not affect the luck team.
Yeah, I think you can also copy us on the same.
Yeah.
Please,
Let me do that.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. So if that's the case, so should we hold on to the form templates update then?
Sorry?
So should we hold on for the form templates update?
I think you should hold on.
Okay, then so we will put those on hold then.
Sure.
All right. Anything else? If not, thank you everyone. Have a wonderful weekend, and thank you for everyone's contribution. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Bye. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.